For most people, replacing a full-time salary without actively working sounds unrealistic. But some investors have built dividend portfolios designed to generate enough consistent cash flow to cover their living expenses over time. Instead of relying entirely on a paycheck, they focus on owning income-producing assets that pay them regularly through dividends, allowing compounding and reinvestment to slowly build larger streams of passive income year after year. Today we will talk about I replaced my 9-to-5 income with dividends. Here's the breakdown, so before we get started, make sure to hit that like button, also subscribe to my channel. 10. Most people believe income only comes from working. For most of their lives, people are taught to think about income in one way: you work and you get paid. The system feels completely normal, because almost everyone around you follows the same pattern. A job becomes the center of financial survival. If you stop working, the income stops too. This creates a constant cycle where time is directly exchanged for money every single month. But eventually, some people start questioning whether income always has to depend on labor. That is where dividend investing becomes so interesting. 9. Dividends turn investments into cash flow. A dividend is essentially a portion of a company's profits paid directly to shareholders. Instead of earning money only from stock price growth, investors also receive recurring cash payments simply for owning shares. This changes investing psychologically, because the portfolio stops feeling like numbers moving on a screen and starts behaving more like an income-producing system. Over time, a sufficiently large dividend portfolio can potentially generate monthly or quarterly cash flow substantial enough to cover real living expenses. 8. Replacing a salary requires much more than most people expect. One of the biggest surprises about dividend investing is how much capital is usually required to fully replace employment income. A portfolio generating 4% annually in dividends would need approximately $1 million invested to produce around $40,000 per year before taxes. This reality shocks many people because they initially imagine passive income happening quickly. But dividend investing is usually not a shortcut to wealth. It is a long-term system built gradually through years of investing, reinvesting, and compounding. 7. The real power comes from reinvesting early dividends. During the beginning stages, dividend income often looks small and unimpressive. But the strategy becomes powerful when dividends are reinvested automatically into purchasing additional shares. Those additional shares then generate even more dividends later. Over time, this creates a compounding cycle where income growth accelerates gradually. Eventually, the portfolio begins producing meaningful cash flow independently, even without adding large new contributions manually. 6. Dividend growth matters more than high yield alone. One mistake many beginners make is chasing the highest dividend yields possible. Extremely high yields sometimes signal financial weakness or unsustainable payouts. Experienced dividend investors often focus more on quality businesses capable of increasing dividends consistently over long periods. Companies with strong cash flow, stable operations, and histories of growing payouts may produce more reliable long-term income than risky high-yield investments chasing short-term returns. 5. The portfolio usually becomes diversified across multiple sectors. Investors replacing income with dividends often build diversified portfolios spread across different industries: utilities, consumer staples, healthcare, energy, telecommunications, financial companies, and broad dividend ETFs are commonly included because diversification reduces dependence on any single company or sector. This matters because dividend cuts can happen during recessions or economic downturns. A diversified portfolio helps stabilize cash flow across changing market conditions. 4. Dividend investing changes your relationship with market volatility. One interesting psychological shift happens once dividend income becomes the focus rather than daily stock prices. Investors begin paying more attention to cash flow consistency than short-term portfolio fluctuations. Market crashes still matter emotionally, But if dividends remain stable, long-term investors may feel less pressure to panic sell during volatility. This mindset shift can make investing psychologically easier, because income continues arriving even during periods when stock prices temporarily decline. 3. Living on dividends requires controlling lifestyle inflation. Replacing employment income with investments is not only about growing assets, it is also about controlling expenses. The lower someone's financial obligations become, the smaller the required portfolio needed to support their lifestyle. Many financially independent dividend investors intentionally avoid extreme lifestyle inflation, because every additional expense dramatically increases the amount of capital needed for sustainable passive income. Financial freedom often depends just as much on spending discipline as investment performance. 2. The goal is financial independence, not endless luxury. One important truth about dividend investing is that the goal is often freedom rather than extravagance. Dividend income may provide flexibility, reduced stress, time independence, and control over daily life long before it creates ultra-luxury lifestyles. Many people pursuing dividend income care less about appearing wealthy and more about removing dependence on traditional employment. The ability to pay bills through investment income alone fundamentally changes how work, time, and financial security feel psychologically. 1. The real breakdown. Dividends turn ownership into income and time into freedom the deeper. Truth about replacing a 9-to-5 income with dividends is not that money suddenly appears effortlessly. It is that long-term ownership of. Productive businesses can eventually create systems where assets begin generating recurring cash flow independently of direct labor. Because the truth is simple. Dividend investing works by consistently acquiring income-producing assets, reinvesting payouts aggressively early on, allowing compounding to accelerate over time, and eventually reaching the point where portfolio income can support real living expenses without requiring traditional employment. And once you understand that financial freedom often comes from building assets capable of paying you repeatedly instead of relying entirely on a paycheck, you begin seeing why some investors spend decades quietly building dividend portfolios that eventually buy back their time completely. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. Before you go, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.